Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Lomax again, back with another video. Um, know it's been a minute, and I know I keep saying that, but that's how busy I be. So, set aside a little time. Driven nearly 500 miles. I am down here in Mississippi. Deep South, right? So, let me just get into it. This will be the second part of I Survived. Hospital, right? So I remember, if y'all saw the first I Survived video, right? They got left off basically around, the doctor came in, and that, and I couldn't breathe, I saw the light, all that, right? So, as time go on in the hospital, I'm probably in there, I want to say 2 weeks, maybe. I want to say 2 weeks at the most, maybe longer, because it seemed longer than that. So, the doctors, they come in, not the doctors, but the nurses. A few of my family members, they came and saw me. And I remember them saying, you should be getting ready to get up out of here soon, And when I heard that, man, I was happy. I was so happy. Like I was telling you, I had lost so much weight, and I had dropped down to like 110. That was the thumbnail I had put up on that other one, and I was real slim and all that. But anyway, let me fast forward a little bit to the point. So, again, I'm thinking I'm going home, right? I think they tricked me. And it was like, well, Lomax, you ready to go home? I was like, yeah. They was just like, we're going to send a nurse up here, somebody up here to help you, they'll wheelchair you out. First thing in my mind, I was like, wheelchair me out? And they was like, yeah. They was like, you've been through a lot. We're going to wheelchair you out. So they let me pack up my stuff, pack up my little clothes that I had, my shoes, all of that. And I'm just like, man, I'm ready to get downstairs so I can get up out of here, right? So the lady, she come get me, and she was like, well, here, have a seat in the wheelchair. And I'm just like, hey, I can walk just fine. I'm good. She's like, oh, I insist. She said, enjoy this treatment while you can. And I just looked at her like, okay, something not right. And I sat down. I went ahead and sat down. Y'all excuse the sun. Just excuse all that, please. So I sat down, and I'm getting wheelchair around, and I'm thinking I'm going home. We get in the elevator. The lady, she's asking me how I'm doing this morning and all that. I was like, I'm good. It feels good to go home. And when I said that, I noticed she didn't say nothing. She was like, And I was just like, how was your morning? She was like, oh, I'm wonderful, honey. I'm wonderful. And I'm just like, well, that's good to hear. So anyway, when she pushed the button, I noticed she didn't push, the home floor or the first floor. You guys, we went up. We went up to the last floor. I didn't know this at the time. So I remember the elevator door opens, right? I'm sitting in a wheelchair, and I see a door. You can barely see in it, right? It's a regular door, like in the hospital. You can barely see in it. I remember somebody using the key tag to get in. The nurse, she couldn't even get off of the elevator. She wasn't allowed to. And so, a strange lady, she come up to me, I think her last name was Fox, Miss Fox. I think she was from across seas or something. Um, so anyway, she come out there and this big dude, black guy. He was dude had to be like what 6'5", and he came behind me. He was just like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I just looked like, "What in the world?" So, dude, he pushed me on in, and they told her, "Thank you. We got it from here." And so they pushing me in there, right? And they locked the door behind them. Well, the door locked automatic, and it was red. You had to have a key tag to get out this place. And so I looked to my right, I looked to my left. So it's a long hall, just left and right of me. And I see a bunch of people walking around. Most of them, they look normal people. And then, they were just like, "Well, come on, let me wheel you on in here, so we can take, your vital, do all kind of stuff." And the black guy who was talking to me, he was asking me, "Who are your people?" and all that. I told him, he was like, "Yeah, I grew up with some of your people, man, all this and that." And I was just like, "Yo, cut the bullshit. What is this?" And he was just like, "Oh, man, don't worry about that. We'll get to the bottom of it right now. Just try to relax." And I was just like, "Okay." And so, he told me to stand up, squat, turn around, all that. I'm just like, okay, I think I'm on a certain floor. Basically the floor to seek help. I don't want to call it they call it the 8th floor. But anyway, so again, I see security guards. A big dude. I remember this guy, he had dreads. He was a real big guy. He had like these contacts in his eyes too, but it was a big dude. And they would switch out shifts like every other hour or every hour or something like that. They'll just be watching the halls, monitoring the halls. And I was like, okay, they got high security up here. Like, this is something serious up here. And which is, I kind of already knew I was up there. But at the same time, just like, okay, this is weird. This right here is very strange. And so anyway, they take me into the room. He got done with me, right? And I'm paying attention. I'm looking into the lobby and all that. You got people talking, playing cards. And I noticed somebody was writing something, but the pencil was like this small. And I was like, okay, this is okay. I think this is where they take, people who are a threat, maybe to themselves, right? Or maybe to other people, right? And I knew I was here. I was like, I saw it. I couldn't. I just knew where I was. How about that? So Miss Fox, she take me into this room, and she closes the door. She makes sure we have privacy or whatnot. And she was like, "Well, how are you doing?" And I told her, I was like, "I'm good. I feel good." She was like, "You feel good?" She was like, "That's good to hear." And she was like, if you feel like your life is in danger and all that, we can send you somewhere. We can find you a place to go, a place to stay. And I'm just like, "No, really, I'm fine." And she was like, "Okay." And then she got deeper into, she brought back, like, "Why did you do that? What made you want to, do that to yourself and all that?" And, I had went back over it, and I was just like, basically, I got drunk. I don't drink. I was going through a lot, and, it happened, basically. I did what I did. I took full accountability. She was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Okay." Well, she was like, "We'll talk in a few more days." But she was like, "I'm going to let another person come in here and talk to you. And, and from there, we'll show you around and what's going on." And so she leaves, shake my hand, "It's nice to meet you. You need anything, just let me know." And another guy, he came in, he had his laptop, and he said he was looking through the files. I guess he was looking at my files. He was like, "I'm trying to see why you are even up here. Why are you even here?" And I was like, I had an incident with the the suicide attempt. He was just like, yeah, I know that, but he was just like, why are you up here? Like I don't understand why they got you up here. And I think he said, oh, I see. Because I think I told them that I was hearing voices. See, that's what it was. He was like, man, because when I came, he was like, when he saw me, when I came in there, and I was answering, certain questions, I don't remember the dude, but he was saying that he was asking me questions. He said, oh, you seem like you in your right mind or whatnot. But anyway, so long story short, he leaves, and he was just basically saying, you're going to be up here a few days, till we think it's good for it's time for you to go home or whatnot. I was like, well, okay. And he was like, well, you can follow me. You can follow me on out. And he started showing me around. He was like, this is the basically the dining area. You can play games, meet people, talk, chat. We got the phone right there. You want to call home, let your folks know you okay. And they showed me to my room. And oh yeah, I forgot. They took my shoes. They took my socks. They gave me socks, non-skid socks. We couldn't have no belts, no nothing. Everything that came up there, they had to go through it, yeah, just like prison. They had to go through it, make sure it was if it was the policy to have and all that, right? And so he showed me the room, and the room was depressing. It was literally a block of wood, basically, with a mat on it. It was two in the room. And my roommate, his name was Luke. And I remember the first night he was saying, when it was time for bed, because we had an early bed time. They was having us in bed by around what? I want to say 8 o'clock. Or in some days it was, some days I think it was maybe 8:30. And I asked Luke, I said, Luke, why you up here? Like, what did you do? And he was just like, he said that, yeah, man, he said, man, I had a girlfriend, man, and I kind of lost my cool. She had spoke to me in a certain way. She started hitting me, and he was just like, he got so mad that he went into his room, he went somewhere, and he ended up pointing a shotgun and pulling the shotgun on. I was like, oh shit. And he was like, yeah, man. He was like, man, I'm from Florida. I was like, so they sent you all the way up here to Carolina? And he was like, yeah. Which I come later on to find out it was other people that was not from Carolina who was up there. And so basically he asked me what I did, and I told him. He was like, dude, you gotta have some serious balls for you to even do that to yourself. And I was just like, I didn't brag on it. I was just like, but when he said it, he was just like, yo, I can't believe you actually did it. And, I was like, yeah, man, I don't want to talk about all that. You know what I mean? And so he was just basically telling me, we shook hands. And he was just like, yeah, man, we're going to be all right. We just going to get through this. And Luke, he was like, man, I'm ready to go home, man, so I can have, so he can have some sex or whatever. I was like, well, how long you been up here? He was like, man, I've been up here 3 weeks. I was like, dang, you been up here nearly a month? He was like, yeah. He was like, don't think you just getting out of here, man. He was like, it may take you a week or two, maybe a month, depending on your improvements or whatever. And one thing he told me, he gave me some good advice. He said, listen, he said, don't, when a doctor come in and he try to prescribe you something, he ask you how you doing, don't tell him that you ready to go home and stuff like that, because they'll try to keep you up here. And I was just like, where the fuck am I? You know what I mean? So basically, yeah, Luke was cool, man. He left like a day or two after. And I had the room to myself, basically, right? And so So they give us a little toothbrush. They give us, everything, toothpaste, all we need or whatnot. And they had like bags, brown paper bags inside of a trash can. They gave us soap. It had to be liquid soap. It couldn't be solid soap. And, they was like, well, this is the time y'all can relax. That next morning, of course, we got breakfast. Then they were saying, it's basically, free time. You do whatever you want to do, And so I did that. I was like, man, first of all, I got to shower. You know what I mean? Because I ain't showered in so long. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't move and all that, right? Ever since that bath that Miss Lady who was helping, she let me bathe myself and all that. But that was like days. I was like, yeah, let me hit the shower, man. So I get the shower or whatnot. It's a button. It's not a twist. It's not a pull. It's a button. And when you push the button, a little bit of water come out. I mean, it's enough to give pressure. But the water was cold, y'all. Just like, oh, I tried to let it run. And I was like, yeah, it only get a little lukewarm. It don't get warm to where it's comfortable. It's still a little cool with it. And I was like, oh, man, this is like my hair had grew out and all that, y'all. I was just like, man, what in the world? Like, it's very depressing, So I was like, man, you know what? Do what I do. Clean up, bathe, wash my hair, whatever. Wash everywhere I need to wash. And I got up out the shower. And once I put my clothes on, first thing I noticed was I couldn't fit my pants like that no more. Yeah, man. I couldn't fit my pants like that. I was telling you, I had lost so much weight, man, that I could literally pull my pants, pull like that. My pants was very loose on me. That's how much weight I had lost. I had got so slim and skinny, And so after I noticed that, I changed my clothes into, I think, like some sweatpants or something that had a drawstring. And I'm in my socks. With the socks they gave us, non-skid. I go out into the day room. I look down that way, security guard down that way. I look down that way. It's another security guard. And I was like, okay. So I walk in the day room. I sit down. They playing Uno. They offered me to play Uno or something like that. And I saw another girl. She was on the phone. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll play Uno. So we playing Uno. People asking, why are you here? What happened? I'm asking who they are, where they from. And again, it was from all over, y'all. And I noticed a girl, that girl who was on the phone, she called. And she said, Mom, she was in fear. She was like, Mom, y'all told me y'all was going to help me. I fear for my life. It's scary up here. They don't treat us good up here. And I was looking at it. I was like, somebody had came. One of the security guards, they had came and they had unplugged the phone. And I was like, no more phones. They took it off the wall and all that. They was like, no more phones for the day. You know what? Everybody go to their rooms. Everybody go to their rooms. And I was just like, man, I think I'm locked up, man. They didn't treat no difference from being locked up. And I forgot to tell you, even in the midst of all of that, when she was on the phone and she was crying out, she was crying real tears, y'all. It was a man that was in there. He was an older man. And I remember, I don't know what happened, but I remember him telling the security guard, if you put your goddamn hands on me again, I'll sue your ass and all that. And I was just like, oh. And they was like, come on now, come in the room. We don't want to have to put our hands on you. And I looked down the hall. I saw the security guard putting on his gloves, his latex gloves. I was just like, oh, they about to put hands on dude. And the security, he was just like, God damn it, don't you touch me either. You touch me, I'm going to have a case against you. And so they grabbed big dude, big security guard. Grabbed dude, and they grabbed his legs and all that, almost like it had him in a choke just about. But, he wasn't choking him out, but, he had a good, strong grip on him. They pull him into the room. He's screaming. He's like, help. They close the door. Next thing you know, the door opened. I saw the other nurse guy who was helping him. He came back with a needle. They put him out. Closed the door right behind him. He wasn't screaming no more. I was just like, man, oh yeah. I was like, man, this happened to me. First thing I'm doing, I'm going to throw them things at him. I'm going to throw them at him. And I meant that too, y'all. I meant that too. I said in my mind, if they think they about to put their hands on me, I'm going to be the first one to swing on them. I'm going to try to knock out the first person who ever try to grab me. I don't care, big, small, short, a little. It don't matter to me. But that's what my head was during that time, right? Like, you ain't about to poke me with nothing. But, again, so everybody go back to their rooms, right? They lock it down for like an hour. And I think when that hour was over, basically they was like, okay, y'all come back out or whatnot. And it was like, keep it quiet. No problems. They were supposed to be in a good day. And, so again, just reading, getting to know people. Some people are walking back and forth. I was walking back and forth because I got bored. I wanted to exercise. I was walking back and forth and all that. I would go to the room and I would do dips and all that, try to get my strength back, man. And when I was walking back and forth, I remember this guy, he looked at me dead in my eyes and he said, you walking like you got a purpose or something. And I looked at him. He was like, hey, man, I was just kidding with you. I was just playing. You just didn't know I was about to knock him the fuck out. But anyway, excuse my language, y'all. That's where my head was during that time. I want to give y'all the real. And he started walking with me. It was just like, hey, man, it was like, I was just kidding with you, And I was like, yeah, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. It was just like, okay, you want me to leave you alone? I'll leave you alone. I kept walking. I didn't say nothing else to him. So fast forward to later, right? I saw that same guy he had on his shoes, and I was sitting down. I was just like, yo, how he get shoes? And I was like, oh, he about to go home. And I was like, for real? I was like, how long you been up here? That was like 2 months. I was like, 2 months? This? And then y'all, in the rooms, right, they have locks on the windows. So it's like a because I heard that before those, somebody had jumped out that window on the 8th floor of the hospital and they killed themselves. It's crazy. But so yeah, he went home or whatnot. And I remember what day was it? I think it had to be like a Monday. I think every Monday we had to see our doctors. The doctors, they would come up. They wouldn't come up on the elevator. They would come up on the stairwell. So when the doctors come up, we had to be in our rooms with the doors locked, right? And they would come and get us to sit and line up one by one while the doctors then were secured in their office or whatnot. So we come and talk to them one-on-one. Almost like they said what they do in prison. When they call you, you next and all that. And so I remember the guy I was telling y'all that the weird guy when I was in blurred vision, he was my doctor. The Zaruf, Dr. Zaruf was his name, from across seas. And he called me in and he say he was on the phone and he was talking, I don't know, Slavic. I don't know what he was speaking, but I didn't know. It wasn't English. And when he was talking to me, I was trying to make out what he was saying. He was like, oh, you okay? And well, have you ever had Lexapro? And I was just like, no, I've never had Lexapro. He was like, I want to try this medicine on you. I want to see how it makes you feel. A few days, next week. Oh, I'll let you go home, man. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, yeah. And basically from that right there, it was like, okay, well, I'll see you next week. Have a good day, Jonathan. Have a good day, Jonathan. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I was scared. I didn't know what that man was saying. I didn't know what he was trying to do, what he was planning. I had no clue. And so I left. Of course, they called the next person in. And it was like, when you finish, go back to your room until we get everybody from seeing their doctors or whatnot. And basically from that, y'all, they had visiting day. We had visiting day, but it was only like for 20 minutes every, I want to say Tuesday, maybe. It was every Tuesday. They had to line us up on the wall and go down the hall to the visiting area, where that's where the parents and the parents, the daughter and the son, they would meet. Didn't last long at all. My mother, she did come see me like twice, right? My cousin, he had came, gave me words of encouragement or whatnot. And basically from there, y'all, basically what I'm telling you is that this was my experience every day when I was up there. I think I was up there for over a week, but it felt like a month. Until, man, that day the doctor, he's like, when I came in, he was like, yeah, they was playing. I forgot to tell y'all that. So at night when we would sleep, right, they would try to play on our mind. And I'm gonna tell you why I said this. I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying this. In the middle of our sleep, they'll come in and they'll try to wave something at the door. And it'll beep, 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 beep. And they'll now wake up and they'll close the door like real fast. And I think I remember on that first day when I met Luke was telling me, oh yeah, man, they're gonna do that. They're gonna try to play on your mind, see if the medicine working or you really sleeping all that. And I was just like, really, dude? But see, when he was gone, I was there by myself in the room. They would just come in there like every other hour, every 2 hours, and beep, 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 beep. Now close the door real quick. I jumped. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like playing mind games or something. Like, it was strange, y'all. And like I say, long story short, y'all, basically, when the doctor told me, when I had my meeting with him again, it was like, you ready to go home? And he looked at my picture. He was like, oh, you was here on your birthday. And I was like, yeah, I was. I was like, yeah, I was. It was just like, it's like, oh, you ready to go home, man? And it was just like, does tomorrow sound good to you? I can make that happen. They say you've been doing good, forgot this part. Somebody stole my pants. When I was in the shower, somebody came in the room and stole my pants. I didn't notice at first, but when I got out the shower, I lotioned down or whatever, put on some other pants, and I sat in the day room, and I saw somebody walking by, and I just looked at dude. I was like, yo, them look like my pants. So I didn't say nothing. I walked into my room. I started going through my little clothes or whatever. And I was like, because they only give you like, 2-3 sets of clothing, or the ones that you brought with you. And I was like, yo. I went back out. I was like, yo. I was like, yo, you got on my pants. Take my motherfucking pants off now. You know what I'm saying? And they was looking at me like, And I was like, man, you don't take my pants off, I'm about to, basically, knock you out or whatever. And I remember this, one of the nurses that was sitting in the office, I was like, whoa, what is going on? I was like, man, so he stole my pants or whatever. It was like, oh, or they was like, take them pants off now. If they're not yours, take them off. And he was like, man, I'm sorry about that. You know, the nurse like, I'm sorry about that. I was like, man, I promise you, he's like, Loma's been doing good. Just calm down. You know, I'll wash them for you and I'll get them back to you. Now, you know, I didn't trip, man. I was like, man, thank you. You know what I mean? But I showed aggression on that. You know what I mean? But I don't think they reported that. I don't think they reported that part. But yeah, somebody stole my stuff, man. I was like, oh no, I ain't about to let that ride. You know what I'm saying? Because thank God that them nurses was up there. For some reason, the security guard wasn't up there that day. You know? But anyway, y'all, that's part 2. That's part 2 of my hospital experience, man. They had me up there in jail, basically. I know a lot of people will say it's the crazy floor, whatever. I tried to dodge from saying that, but, you know, it drove some people crazy. And that's the thing. I was tripping when I saw that girl up there. I was like, yo, you know, because she wasn't lying. They were treating people horrible up there. But I just had in my mind, if they think they're going to put their hands on me, you know, they don't know what. They must be tripping. I'll send them a red light special in a minute. Bill, real quick. I had thought about escaping when I was up there trying to run. I was like, nah, that ain't a good idea. But I was going to do it. I was contemplating making a plan. I was like, yo, if I can just make it to that door. I was like, you know what? That door probably locked. You see what I'm saying? So that wasn't a good idea. But yeah, I had thought about trying to escape, man. I was just like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea, you know? Because it was literally like a jail or something, man. I was walking from left to right. You know, try to get some exercise in, some wind or whatnot. But hey, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And I have another story too, which is I'm gonna make that video next. But hey, thank you. I'm out.